to get it. I think so. Yeah, flash her in.
They're accident no matter what.
Please call the roll.
Absolutely. Lawton,
Yes.
Luddington,
Here.
Patrick,
Here.
Bruner,
Here.
Ellis,
Here.
Farnham,
Here.
Voight.
Here. Okay, the sole purpose for the meeting this morning is to, and I don't have the exact words, but to authorize me to sign Klinger contracts or contract for, or anything necessary for the drawing up and specifications for the elevator in the courthouse. So I'm sorry, when did this get here, this morning?
I had it by about 7:45.
All right, so.
It's 43,500, and it includes 4,400 that was invoiced already in May. So,
This is just for Klinger, and then we'll have another one with Cord.
I would assume so if you guys want to use core for that as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
that hasn't been determined yet.
Would be put on a bid, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here in the first paragraph, it says Klinger's work will be coordinated with the owner's construction manager, Core Construction,
Well-
both design and construction.
They've been working with them already on pricing and stuff.
On
so,
design.
Yeah,
And then they'll give us a proposal.
For construction.
if you choose to go that route,
Yep.
yes.
So how can we do? Gotcha, forget.
Pretty much everything you guys discussed, leaving it in the same spot, upgrading it, and then having an alternate to do some cosmetic stuff in the courthouse if it's affordable at the time. Like stained glass, that kind of thing, will be an alternate. So we haven't done any asbestos testing on the inside like it states, but we have done lead testing, and it was lead paint, so we'll have to coordinate around that. But they can price it all that way. When they do their bidding on this one.
Sorry that we're dealing with this on short notice, but they wanted to get us under agreement so they could get moving on it.
And I believe the plan is still to try to have something to go out with bid this fall, this winter, this fall, winter, to have something to go out there to letting with. Because they figure it'll take quite a while for procuring the elevator parts and that kind of thing, so.
So what is the time frame if we approve this today?
I mean, they're still working on, I mean, they've kind of working stuff, but I think they're hoping to take something out for bidding this fall, maybe this winter. Because they figure it'll take quite a while to get the pieces and parts, so construction wouldn't probably start until sometime, probably at the earliest, what, next summer maybe?
Late spring.
Just depending, it's gonna depend on how long it's gonna take to get everything. And they don't know that, they're still working on how
And
long
of
the
course,
lead
they'll
time are.
analyze more carefully the costs on it also.
And they're still working on logistics on how to do it without an elevator for a little while when they're doing the
That's what I
shaft and
wanted
stuff.
to, what would be, what's the, people that need to get the courtroom, where they have a way of getting upstairs, downstairs, or?
That's what we're talking about.
I think-
We're gonna work on coming up with
The
logistics.
idea might be that they talked, maybe by the easiest way might be to set up some sort of thing in the basement foyer, phone or something where they can call the offices, and for the most part, people can come to them, at least for stuff on the second floor. because we haven't figured out a good way to get to the second floor yet. In theory, we might be able to get people to the first floor if you did some sort of long ramp or something, one of those stairs. But the second floor, we haven't figured out a good way to get up there yet, without a lot of additional help. So they thought about, they have that little thing downstairs, maybe they get a phone, they can say, hey, dial this for assistance with whatever, they can call up to whatever's office and somebody can come down and help them.
I can't
That way.
imagine a ramp to the first floor, that baby's gonna be steep.
Yeah,
Be
well,
somebody stronger than me pushing that.
There's somebody's gonna push me.
I mean, like I said, there's just logistically, they haven't figured it out, but that sounds like probably the easiest and most cost-effective way is to put something down there to have them be able to get a hold of somebody. And it's not very often that they have somebody that's probably gonna need help, but there will be one occasionally that will be able to take the stairs.
I don't think they'll figure it out, will they?
about one of those chairs that carries people up.
Yeah, that's an option, but then you have to somebody who can pull people or something, but yeah,
Those aren't cheap either.
no. So,
So what,
That's-
what do we need to do here?
Just a motion to authorize me to sign.
so they can
Contracts.
move forward with
Right.
design and
I'll make
planning.
that motion.
Okay, Love moves. Russ seconds. Further discussion, please.
If we end up having to have an agreement with Core, is that just basically to oversee the project
Yes.
if we get to that point, basically?
They will also coordinate, which they are now, in nailing down costs a little bit and options and helping us secure bidders that can, reasonably do this project so we don't wind up with one bidder.
Yeah.
Right.
Was that the 600-some thousand that we talked about?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've also asked for state help on that also, okay? I assume you're ready to vote, is that all right? Would you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Lawton,
Yes.
Ludington,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Farnham,
Yes.
Voight.
Yes. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
Well, that's the sole purpose for this special meeting, so I need a motion to adjourn. Andy moves, Russ seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
I'll go on record and say
We'll,
that the quality looks so much better today.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
Put that in the
We got
minutes.
about 3 or 4 minutes, so
I
we
get
need
this
to
set up right now.
now open. We have several things to discuss this morning. Is the camera on?
Yes.
We have a full quorum, so we'll start the meeting and ask any guest if they have some comments they would like to make. From Dr. Rico's here, and Scotty is here. Ingram, Mr. Ingram, and Dr. Rico, formal, all right?
Yeah, just a few comments from the health department. I think you all have a copy of this resignation letter we received from US Back. So she's been responsible for environmental practice, and she's our only licensed environmental health practitioner. I just think it's important for us to voice our concern about the ability to maintain some of the people on the health department. It's been a very tough few years, I think, since COVID became a household word. And the health department's been through some rough times over that time period. And people there have worked very hard to try to get things back on track. But I would ask all of the people on the county board to support the health department in any way they can, especially with the public. I mean, there's people from the public that are gonna have a negative opinion no matter what. Our people are tasked with trying to support, the effect of the ordinances and from the state and as well as local, and that's not always a pleasant thing to do, but, again, it's very important work that we're doing, and I think it's important that our people have the support of the rest of the county government. And obviously, these people they work in public health because they choose to do that. Every one of them, can get a job making more money elsewhere if they wish to. I personally would appreciate all of your help with that.
that, Dr. Rico, and I think the board stands in support. I think there, like you pointed out, there have been issues in the past, and we're looking forward to moving forward.
Thank you.
All right? Does that, anybody else want to comment on my comments or how they feel? Does everybody feel that way besides me? I mean, we're looking forward to stronger and stronger health department moving forward.
Well, as you guys well know, that when it came to the COVID deal, and I've told this to everybody that works down there, when COVID came around, they gave the Department of Health things that they had to do that they even knew that they didn't want to do. And to continue their funding from the state or from the federal government, they had to do it whether they liked it or not. And that really gave them, their whole department, a black eye for everything. And for us to try to get over that, we gotta move forward and quit thinking about what happened in the past and just keep moving forward so that we can, we wanna try to get another dentist there, and we're getting really close for that. And once that gets there, I think it's gonna be a real positive thing for Department of Health. And so I really, you know, I'm asking also if we can get some continued support as something more positive than what we've, I think what they feel. A lot of the people down there just, I've been trying to go down and meet with them and shake hands and, you know, kiss babies and stuff like that so that they know that we care. I just don't want them to think that they're just a number. I want them to feel, because when I got on there, and I've told them this before, when I get on something, they're just like an employee for me, and I treat them that way. And I want them to understand that we care. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Any other comments from the board? Okay. Anything else from you, Doctor, or you, Scotty?
No, thank you.
Okay. Jeff and Matt, do you folks have anything you want to talk about this morning?
Did you hear anything about the
No, I have not, and
That's the only thing with the school, we got a copy of the agreement with the school board, so we're having it looked over, Philip from the state's attorney's office.
no, gave them a couple
Okay.
copies up there.
And Rick's looking it over, and I guess
Yeah,
Philip's looked it over.
I did forward it to Rick, I had Philip look over it, we went through it together, and he said everything looked good, he liked the language in it, he didn't see anything that bothered him with it. He said he thought it looked fair for both sides. So I assume that we need probably some input from the union also, but
Absolutely.
with them losing their attorney and a new one coming in place, we might have a little hold up there.
Yeah, we hope, Carl brought it up, that we could move forward even though they're transitioning to a new person.
Yeah.
We need to move forward with negotiations as expeditiously as
And
possible.
I've seen there was a letter, or one of the employees got a letter from the union, so I'm assuming that's probably to the deal we have to sign off of to start going forward with the negotiations.
Okay.
So do you anticipate by the school, you start a school, they'll have everything in place
I think
for
so,
the
yeah. If we-
resource officer?
We can keep all our people, we'll be ready to roll, I think.
Well, I know we've talked about it, I've never heard who this person is, but is it a current person, someone you're hiring?
A
from
current
out-
employee, yeah.
Current employee? Okay, that's on the road now?
Yeah.
How long have they worked there?
Not, who say who it is, I mean.
Huh? Yeah, I mean,
It's Ryan Washburn,
Ryan
who we have slated for that position. He's
He
already.
came from the city,
He came
right?
over from the city, yeah.
I mean, when did he, this year?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, he came over this year. He's already a certified SRO, has
Okay.
the training certifications.
Okay.
Lives over that way, so he's close to the school.
All right.
Went to school there, so he has a vested interest in the school, so
Okay.
I think he'd be the perfect candidate for it.
All right.
And as far as his position passed, how are you doing on, do you, I think I know the answer, but
We are going to hire another officer, another experienced officer has an application in. We look to hopefully have him on board by the middle of next month.
meeting July?
Yes.
Okay.
And that still leaves us down, though a couple of people be fully staffed. But we can, with the hire of the one to replace the SRO position, we'll be able to get by, but still a couple people shy.
To 8, right?
Yeah.
And then you're looking to find someone to fill Jacob's position.
We moved one of our
Oh.
road guys, Bennett. We moved Bennett into investigations.
Okay, all right.
He already had a lot of the training required to be there, so
Mhm.
we got to send him to a couple of classes, but
Yeah,
he's pretty much up and rolling. So.
yeah, okay.
And Carl, you probably know this, but Mrs. Ray started this morning,
Yes, today was her first official day,
right? She was in with
911
Jess.
coordinator.
Yep.
And we,
Oh,
I think you told me that they got
She starts next week.
her leave taken care of. I haven't heard the details, but it's taken care of. Okay, good,
They worked it out. Nan and her worked it out,
okay.
okay?
All right.
Anything else? Any questions of the sheriff or Matt? Okay. Andy?
Nope, we visited the site the other day. We didn't go up on the roof, but we did visit the site. And they do, I mean, you look by the pictures. I just noticed this too. Autobahn is gonna come in and do some of the repair work. That will be additional cost outside the initial contract. Yep.
I thought
That's why I went, yikes.
I thought that some of that was supposed to be out of the contingency.
Yeah, is that, but
Okay.
possibly, we should look at it as extra, and then if we look at it that way and it's not as bad, then, you know,
Okay.
prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Okay. So we'll have to wait to hear from them on that, but, I mean, they got up there and we're looking at it the other day,
So,
so.
what we need to do is make sure that they're gonna move forward on it.
Right, and as quick as possible, because that, if Autobahn can't get there in a timely fashion, they're talking about there may have to be an additional cost, which is part of the contingency also, but to put scaffold up around the other side, because they'll have to leave that up until the stonemasons can come.
That
up
was,
on it.
that was what I was getting ready to ask. Are they gonna be able to get everything done? I just thought they might move the scaffolding around the other side.
That was the plan, that was certainly the initial plan was that.
Yeah.
But now that they've got stone work to do, these guys are. about
Might hold
might
them
hold
up.
them up a little bit.
Okay.
Getting there.
And then their big concern is if they pull off the roofers, that they may not get these same ones back.
Mhm.
So they wanted to make sure they can keep the stonemasons and the roofers both working.
Can you and Andy,
Yep, they're
will
working
you
on it.
help and keep Andy appraised
Yep.
as building committee chairman
Nope, it's no
of
problem.
that and see, get Michael and Core involved so that we can get them there.
That's what
as
they're supposed to be
quickly as-
finding out is how fast they can do this, to
Yeah.
figure out if there's a way, because they said, most likely they're probably gonna go with the second set of scaffolding, would be my guess. Is what's gonna probably end up happening. Just because the roofers are moving so quickly that I don't think they're gonna have, the stonemasons are gonna get it done quick enough.
Still figure out what it's.
Yep,
We'll see. I don't know that anybody gave us a
they have not yet, they were
right,
still working
definite
on that
answer.
last week, so, or they last week, trying to coordinate it all.
So if they put scaffolding up on the north and, or
The rest of the way.
north and east, are they still gonna be able to use the entrance, the basement
Yeah,
entrance?
That's, they have to leave that open at all times, no matter what.
Okay.
That was gonna be, even when they're on that side has to stay open. So they're gonna have to come up, they'll probably have one of those tarp things over it or something,
Cover.
where something
To
falls,
protect
some
people.
channel protection or some kind. But
Yeah.
yes, they have to leave that open at all times.
Okay,
Speaking of the whole thing, the tour is actually scheduled for 2 o'clock tomorrow. I've got waivers for anybody that wants to go. So,
So what we do is sign it.
yep, basically
If we fall off
identifying them,
something.
that you, your company, your heirs, everybody else, if you die, nobody can sue on your behalf.
Well, we can go at 5 o'clock tonight, have everyone do it.
Right.
So I've got some of these, so anybody that was wanting to go, it's at 2 o'clock tomorrow.
You still have to have the steel toes and all that.
They didn't say anything about any of that
I
stuff, to
assume
be
so.
honest.
I mean, that's kind of a gut steel toe boot.
It doesn't say that, and they have not mentioned that. I assume they'll probably at least do the vest and a hard hat.
Right.
The steel-toed boots, probably not.
Flip flops.
That always helps when you're filming.
It keeps you, that end going down first. So, yeah, so,
And then, I don't know if that was enough pictures for you or not, but I figured there was a tour tomorrow, so we'll get some more, take some more for you. That's what he gave me, so. I don't know if a lot's changed since the last ones, because they've got everything pretty much off, so now it's just putting the bad stuff back on.
but
So,
the base unit's on it,
yeah,
the seal.
You want me to mention that?
yeah.
This, while Autobahn was there, the stonemasons were there, all of the, there's like 5, what do you call it, approaches? from-
7 little
Seven
steps on the plaza that
step-
kind of take you to that second
That's
level.
it, that's it.
You know, the
I thought
circle?
there were 6 or 8, but
Oh,
there's 7.
yeah, I thought there were
Circle.
7.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
And then all of the, you know, they've got a big stone on top and the 2 steps that go up to the, 2 steps, I think, that go up to the mezzanine level or whatever you call that circle that goes around the courthouse. All of those have moved. Some of them, stones are falling out of, and I told these guys whether they're there, I said, give me an estimate on those while you're here. And they did. It's
It's
$88,750.
in addition to the contract, we'll call
They said a lot of the problem is they set that on bare dirt, so they're not actually got any footer underneath them, so they've settled.
They've
moved.
floated over the years, and you can't have floating masonry.
I mean, it sounds like they were, what they quoted to do in there sounds like a pretty nice little fix. I mean, they were gonna fix even the steps themselves. I believe they were gonna pull those off and re-level
Pour
those.
concrete under them and then
So-
set those back
it. So that includes up and down both.
up, and when you say up,
Well,
No.
we needed more masonry under some of those, where the cross on, way up high.
This is just for the
This is-
side
This is
ramp.
just for those,
Oh,
Not-
that's-
nothing.
that's
So we
just-
don't have to do this.
this is not part of the original, this is
Okay.
an addition.
I'm
to-
sorry, I thought it was the
And,
base.
I
I haven't read it yet, I just got it.
mean, some of those, I mean, whether you wanna go with all 7, I don't know, some of them are in bad need of repair, to the point that, well, they just need to be fixed.
I mean, they should fix them, you should never have to touch them again, the way they're talking about fixing them.
Not in
But
my lifetime.
Okay, what happens if we're gonna pour all new concrete and we want to rearrange the entrance to the courthouse?
I mean, most of those you wouldn't touch, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No,
No, they're
Yeah.
only,
I'm not
they're,
arguing against it.
there might be, maybe the one on that east entrance would be the only one, I think, that the proposed last version we had of a new entrance would address, would be that one. They would that one would probably come out at some time if you're gonna do it, because you're going down at that point instead of up. But,
Then I would say, from a financial standpoint, we've got to understand if we put that 88,000, whatever it is, that's gonna pull away from the elevator project. Because that's the only way we can pay for it. Budget-wise, that's the only area that we could, because it's not budgeted in Fund 100.
Right.
Okay? And last year, we got slapped, or I got slapped a little for, you know, we had more money coming in, and we didn't have it budgeted, but at least we had the money coming in, so that wasn't as much of a problem.
I guess my thinking was,
Oh,
no, I mean, I definitely know it needs to be done, but kind of wait and see what you can afford depending on how much we use on the road. I mean, some of the, you know, there's a bit of contingency built in on that, and maybe,
yeah, there's what, 118 or something like that. I forget, there's several different contingency items.
right, so see how, just, you know, this is what that would cost while they were there. It didn't cost us anything to have them tell us what that fixed, or what it would take to fix that.
But we can't take any official action on that today
No,
anyway.
I just wanted to let everybody know.
Carl?
Wasn't there some issues on the the steps going up to the courthouse too?
There's some on that also. Basically what those amounted to was, and I also had them go around and look at some of the masonry. One of the entrances where those roofs had leaked over time,
Mhm.
the portico roofs had leaked over time, it ran down and washed. What I'm guessing happened is water got down in there and then it froze in the wintertime and kind of separated some of the masonry.
Is that on the southwest side
That
especially?
would be on the southwest side, yes.
Yeah, so you can see that.
Right.
And then one cracked.
And he didn't think, he thought that it could be stabilized at this point. I don't think, he goes, I don't think you need to tear it apart and try to relay it, but it could be stabilized, like basic tuck pointing and things.
We put in a grant, and I know it's not active for all of this stuff. Is there any, I just gotta ask, is there any invitation for that grant process?
After we did this little walkthrough and tons of there, I went ahead and sent an email to Massey and Massey, and he was gonna check in with some, just kind of looks, as we've talked to them before, they're the one that helped at that, to see what was out there, what was coming.
We
And I
have
haven't
them
heard
on
back from them.
retainer, Ken Massey.
Yeah, so, just to see, because I think that was a one-time kind of rebuild COVID thing, but they have other ones that come up in cycles, but I'm not an expert on those, so I kind of said, hey, what's coming, is there other ones out there? And he was gonna check, he has some contacts in Springfield that he was gonna check to kind of see, and I haven't heard back from him yet this week, so.
Okay.
So, that would help on that.
And as far as the Diamond Brothers work, their counters are all in down there. It looks really nice. I don't know if anybody's been down there,
I
but
think there's some camera guys headed there now. They called and they showed up at the jail and said, wrong place.
Yeah, the fiber and all
it's
that's
all hooked
in.
up too.
Phones are slowly getting put in all over. One of the things that would ask you to coordinate is with Don and Dina, is the move and timing and moving people and,
Process how you're gonna do it. We'll help hire some
oh yeah, that's what I mean, movers.
movers.
Yeah, because we have one person hurt and we got a work comp claim. That'll be,
Yeah,
yeah, whatever we have to spend, I think would be
I think
reasonably
hire movers to move a lot of that stuff.
and not have any of our folks in harm's way,
Right.
so,
Is Diamond Brothers still there?
yes.
When are they planning on that?
I was thinking about that, I haven't called Donnie, they closed, you saw the article in the paper.
Right.
So we gotta find out what they're gonna do and when they're gonna be ready. But he thought by late summer, they would be out of that side. But that could change, or be better or worse, I'm not sure, I haven't talked to Donnie in probably a month or so.
Legally, they've got to the end of the year.
Yes.
Correct.
But he was,
Open they
yeah,
gather.
he was not, he wants to get moved to his new location because he wants to stabilize his business.
Right.
Everybody's confused. So he wants to remove the confusion.
Are you coming to the thing tomorrow?
Yeah.
Well, when we get there tomorrow, let's look at some of these steps and the building and have some discussion
Sure.
when we're there tomorrow.
I did bring the keys with me, so maybe shortly after the meeting, we can meet over there and we can unlock some of those offices, but I don't wanna leave the keys just sitting out like they were before.
I didn't know what those keys were for.
Well, there was a big,
I know what, I saw the keys.
Yeah.
I tried them in some of the front doors and things. You must have spent a lot of time.
yeah. Of course, I've got the
It's like a
diagram.
puzzle.
See, there's 22 on the key, and then the diagram shows 22.
Oh, the keys are numbered?
Yeah.
I never looked at that.
So, of course,
Tried some.
of course, when Jerica was doing her office, hers is office 22, so I put 22 in there. It didn't work.
Okay.
It was like 25, so.
Credit card do the same thing in your place.
Anyway, so we've got stuff to attend to there. And the big thing we've got to recognize is that they're going to be sending out the tax bills here probably in the next week or two. And then people are going to start coming in to pay taxes and do all kinds of things with those two offices. So we've got to make sure we coordinate it so that we don't have a cluster,
Right.
okay? So, at any rate, enough of that. Anything else,
Did
Andy?
you get a report back on the camera?
Can.
Yeah, Mills was down there Friday?
In the Diamond Brother building.
No, I knew they were coming, I didn't know when they were coming, it's
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah,
Okay.
there Friday.
Okay, I haven't heard anything back from them yet.
That'll be interesting to know.
Yeah, I will too.
How about your department?
I texted Andrew last week, she has hired a couple part-time people to animal shelter, so haven't had much time to talk to her about it, but I will. So it looks like everything's a lot better than it was.
Any questions of Dan? Russ, anything? Carl? Phil? No, I'm not calling on you today.
We know better.
Okay, so Wyatt Williamson texted me and said AES, which is a wind company, is looking at doing a project, which this is not new, on the Champaign Douglas Edgar corner, and probably also Vermillion. And they were having, this was last week, they had an informational meeting up at Rantoul, and I just found out about it, you know, less than 24 hours in advance, so I couldn't go. Bailey, the Champaign Farm Bureau manager, was going, and Wyatt said he would find out from Bailey any information she could. So, that's all I know on that. As far as short sands.
I got a question. Did you name a company?
AES.
AES? Have they been interested in Edgar County? Were they part of the one that was, what, 2 years ago, was wanting to, no, that was over Redmond, Brockton.
Right.
Is that a separate, different company?
No.
Okay.
And they
So-
change names often enough, it's kind of hard to tell.
So what are they looking at?
The Four Corners.
Putting in a wind farm up there?
And this is not
On that
new.
ridge up there?
Yeah, we've known this,
Okay.
yeah.
That's wind, not solar.
That one's wind. There are two that are wanting to come in on the north. One is from the northwest and one is from the northeast. So they haven't said anything specific to us because they're still in the, trying to get lease agreements. We do have one farm landowner up just on the Woodyard Road, just west of Route 1, who has already signed. So they're quite actively signing people, and so they haven't come to us yet. Short sands, Svetlana has been communicating with Dina, and the landowner was also in to talk to Dina about just the final survey to determine what's gonna be taxable to the project versus the landowner. So that's still moving forward. At some point, and I'd sent an email out to Augie and Dina and Jeff that, you know, I've said all along, we've learned a lot from this, and thank goodness that this company has been so good to work with, that I feel like we're at the point where we need to come up with a checklist. And the thing that concerns me, not so much on solar, but more on wind, but we need to get our structure in place, is figuring out how we are gonna make sure that in those intervals later on, the 5 years, the 10 years, 15 years, that we keep track of who owns it, and to make sure that if they don't give us the information that we request, as far as updating their decommissioning plan, that we trigger it and say, hey, we haven't heard from you, give us your updated decommissioning plan, because we could all change, but the process needs to be in place.
Kind of like a bank and a mortgage, where you want it, your insurance comes in every year, no matter what.
Yeah,
So we need a process where,
right. So we need to get our processes in place.
so we're gonna meet in the next, what, week or so?
It's, at some point, yes, we are,
And I'll hammer that out, and then we'll let the board know.
yeah. The only meeting I've attended since the last board meeting was the Board of Health, and many thanks to Dr. Rico for stating his continued commitment to the Board of Health and to serving as our chair, because I have voiced in here before, I greatly appreciate Dr. Rico's leadership and how calmly and smoothly he keeps us all in line and on track. That's a great skill, which I already knew he had. Roof issues, I guess, there are some roof issues there, and Monica is, there's a roof leak, so she's got to deal with that, and some other things. I think one thing that Monica, because this isn't her background, and anybody walking into this position would be challenged, is to remember, even if it falls below a threshold, that there are a lot of times it's good to get bids. And there are a lot of small things that go on, you know, anytime you are responsible for a facility. The board is very excited about the potential dentist that came to visit. It sounds like she has a passion and knowledge, and she knows what she'd be getting into and what the role requires to be a dentist for a public health setting. And I think that's all I have on that. You have the letter in front of you. As we all know, one's perception is the reality for that one. And the second paragraph,
We can talk about this in a closed,
is worth a little more discussion.
we
So,
can go into executive closed session now or at some point.
and that's really all I've had going on the last 2 weeks that had to do with this.
I was gonna
board.
say, you've had more than that going
I
on.
had a lot going on.
Okay. I really don't have anything today. We've got enough going on. Budget's stable. We're proceeding with, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but we've got, I think, just about everything into USDA again.
I sent a thing to her asking if there's anything outstanding. I know we're still waiting on both agreements for Core and Klingner's to be approved by them.
Yep.
And then just them going through what we've submitted, but I haven't heard back on that, so.
That's about it. So,
Is,
yes, Carl?
now that we've, you know, got to like the final footprint of the jail and Klinger's moving on, is there something we need to be doing?
I think
Near
it's
term.
important that, and I asked Josh to do this, we'll send out a day, notice the day before of the meeting every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we can then, maybe a little tickler reminder the next morning.
Mhm.
That's a big thing. I think we just, if questions come up or concerns, we'll check and see how Michael is gonna feed us information as he moves along so the board can have it.
Mhm.
Because we don't want it to veer off, not that it would, but we just need to keep track.
Right.
They've
Yeah.
started
I think
phase 2.
The big thing is we need to keep track of what's going on and ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay?
They decided phase 2, which is design development, is the phase we're in now. So,
Right. And we need to demand as soon as possible, and it makes sense in this process, to get another updated cost estimate. Okay? I think we need those periodically.
Yeah. Core's continuing to work on that.
Yes.
They've got the new footprint and everything, so I
Yeah.
think they're pretty much, they're slowing down a little bit until they get the new design development stuff from Klinger, because that's
Yeah.
what they really need. Because they're guessing a little bit on schematic designs, like this size of the room, what's kind of in there. Design development will get them what they actually need to take to the trades, because it'll have real numbers for them. The real thing, instead of guesses a little bit.
Well, it's gonna become more
Yep.
and more refined as we go along. And hopefully, we charged them, both of companies, with the responsibility of making sure that they don't lessen what we're getting, but do things that make sense to give us the best product possible at the best price possible. Okay?
And according to Michael, they're still on track to do some bid packets this fall, like the site work and
Yeah,
some
here in the next month
equipment
or
stuff.
so.
The equipment stuff to go out there and start bidding this stuff so we can get it ordered to get stuff that's not gonna ride for a year or whatever,
Yep.
so.
And we do wanna push Michael on the electrical information that Interstar needs.
Yep, I hit him again, he's got his guy working on it now supposedly, so. Because that was a consult, he was waiting on the next agreement, so he could tell his consultant to go, or the next
I understand.
agreement, so.
Yeah.
And I assume that Core's working on the generator. That's.
Well, they needed some more information from their electrical side as well for the actual needs. So that's what they're working on, his electrical engineer, and then he's supposed to be getting me the gas requirements, because I gotta set up Ameren wants to do a site visit once we've got an actual, where it's gonna sit, because they're talking about maybe moving it like 20 foot or something to save a little bit on cuts and fills, and what the needs there, and then they'll have a site visit set with Ameren, and then we should have all the utilities outside ICN, which the only one I have left to have do a site visit, so.
Then we have a meeting
I
tomorrow
was gonna tell you
morning
that,
with
no.
Century.
No, they had, there was a mistake on that one, they screwed up some of the wrong things, so it'll probably be in July.
Okay.
He sent me an invite for Crispin High School for some reason. I said, is that right? Because we're not Crispin High School, and he had mistakenly said the wrong thing, so.
All right.
So apparently,
I'm
they're,
glad.
they're hooking up to Crispin High School apparently now too, so.
I see him, you said?
Elementary Century Network again. So, I told him it would have to be, since you guys were gonna be gone at this point, probably maybe the early July.
Both Andy and I are gonna be out of,
Yeah, that's what I told him. I said it had to be at least after July, at least July 10th is the earliest we could do it now, so.
So when's the next meeting with Core and Michael?
Okay,
this next Tuesday. Not tomorrow, but.
no,
This-
I don't know what they're, that's a holiday, so I'm not sure what they got planned. They won't be working July 4th either.
Oh,
So-
that's right.
So I
Okay.
don't know if they're gonna reschedule that one way or the other, or just cancel that one, but I will
Please.
find out.
Yeah, please let everybody know.
Because that's a holiday, they work holidays, but they won't work that one, I'm
And
pretty
you
sure.
have Carl's phone number, so you can leave him a
I can get it if I need to.
And then if someone from the board doesn't come to that meeting, are you always?
Yeah, I'm always there.
You're always there, so you can,
Yeah, there's not a lot, they just do a little update, if you have questions, you can hear what where they're at in things, but yes, I
so
attend.
if there's something that you need to bring to our attention, you
Yep.
will, okay.
Well, anything else to come before the meeting? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
You want to?
Yeah, do we want to do a post meeting today? Okay.
Yes.
Motion to go into closed session for the purposes of personnel. Andy moves, Russ seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we won't go into closed session. I would ask if you would want Dr. Rico and Scotty to stay.